Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. And from that little musical interlude with that nice little van going down that little back street, you may have gathered that I've been abroad. In fact, I've been to Japan for about 3 weeks with a lovely breakaway, a much needed holiday with my family. So it turned into a Japanese vinyl odyssey, right? Why not while you're there? I went to a total of about 6 cities, which will be covered actually. I'm going to stagger this over a series of posts, probably 3 or maybe even 4 posts going to, as I had a rather complex itinerary. I'll try and talk you through it and see if I don't get confused myself. But yeah, we had a wonderful time anyway. And I'd underline all of that by saying, you know, if ever you get the chance, do go to Japan and make sure, if you're into vinyl, that you do some vinyl shopping, because they take it very seriously indeed. You'll find second-hand vinyl shops, I wouldn't say everywhere, but even in small towns you'll find something, and in the big cities like Tokyo, which I'll be covering in a later posting, you'll find a lot, possibly too many. I certainly didn't get to see even a quarter of the vinyl available in that city. But anyway, so yes, let's start things up here. I visited, I believe, about, sorry, I'm going to have to keep looking at my notes here because there's so much to tell. About 6 cities, which were Kokura, Fukuoka, Nara, Osaka, Kyoto, and as I said at the beginning, Tokyo was in there as well. Spent about 5 days there, so we'll do a separate post on that one later. But anyway, I was over there visiting family, in fact. My mother-in-law lives there, so it was long due. Hadn't been abroad since lockdown, so it's a number of years. It's about 5.5, nearly 6. It was very fortuitous that we went at the time we did, because luckily, and I wasn't aware of this until I got there, the pound is in fact very strong against the Japanese yen at the moment, so that made vinyl shopping that more, you know, lucrative really. I got some real bargains in here. I don't think I paid over the odds for anything. You know, some of it was a little bit more expensive, but you get those superior Japanese presses. I bought about a total of 34 albums, I believe. There was a 10-inch in there as well, which I'll be showing later. And I bought a CD for a friend as well, so I might even, you know, flash that one up in a later posting. But anyway, what I'll do is drop down below links to most, if not all, of these shops that I visited. And hopefully, you know, you can, from the comfort of your home, go on those links and have a look at their websites. Of course, you've always got the language barrier, I know, but there's nothing like, you know, getting on a plane, going over there and doing it in person, as it were, which I was lucky enough to do. Anyway, so let's start things off. So the first vinyl shopping I was able to do in between doing you know, the tourist stuff, the sightseeing, etc., was in a town called Nara, or Nara, as we would say, N-A-R-A, which is in fact the ancient capital of Japan. I'll put in some photos here of, you know, snaps of us in that particular city. It's quite magical. There's deer roaming the streets, etc. I mean, it really is quite something. And obviously it's a big tourist site indeed. But what most people don't realise is there are 1 or 2 rather good well, not just jazz, but you know, if you're vinyl hunting, there are some good record shops there. So the first one which I went to was a place called Ciruello Records, which is on the outskirts. You know, it's about sort of 15-20 minute walk from the centre of Nara. And Ciruello, I didn't know what that meant. I think I looked it up. I think it's plum or something in Spanish. But anyway, no Spaniards on site there. In fact, I have to give my first shout out to Noburu, who's the owner. So I'll drop in an image of him here. and well, me and him together. From him, I bought a few records, mainly jazz, but I bought something else as well. The first one I bought was a Japanese, nearly all these are Japanese pressings, I'll tell you if they're not, but anyway, this one is a Japanese 90s pressing of Philly Joe Jones with Elvin Jones. I think Philly Joe is possibly my favourite jazz drummer, of the lot. And there, some stiff competition, but he was marvellous. This, I think, is in an early 60s Atlantic, originally, an Atlantic release. You can see it's got the company inner there, but this is the Japanese press. I think this one is an early 90s press, unless I'm not mistaken, but the Japanese did rather well at doing these reproduction labels, sleeves, etc. I mean, they really got it right most of the time, not always, but most of the time they did, and this one's no exception. Unfortunately, this one doesn't come with sorry, it should be down this side, shouldn't it? The familiar what's called Japanese obi, which is a kind of decorative strip that they have a habit of placing on their vinyl. So this one's missing, but here you do get some Japanese notes, which I can't read. I don't read Japanese, but they include that. Sometimes they do them in translation, so you get them in English as well. Anyway, so that was nice to pick up. That one, I'm not sure who pressed, because all I can read at the bottom is MMG Incorporated. Perhaps someone out there can drop that in the comments. I don't know who that particular pressing plant is. The next one is a kind of iconic cover. It's Bill Evans with Jim Hall, and the album is called Undercurrent. I think this one, as you can see, is originally a United Artists release. It's a very iconic album sleeve, which is curious because I've had a listen to it a few times. It's a great album. Let me show you the sleeve there. But there is a sort of mismatch between the image, which is kind of slightly sort of morbid, isn't it? That woman lying face up in the water. Almost looks like she's drowning, but the music's just mellow, just piano and electric guitar, kind of mellow jazz stuff with quite a few standards on it. This one did come with the inner, and you've got some chromo stuff in there. This is actually a sort of gatefold thing with some liner notes in English, some of the original liner notes from the US release, but also in Japanese on the outside. And I believe this one was pressed by King, who are a quite famous Japanese pressing plant, meant to do lots of superior reissues. And this one's, I think I looked it up, around 76, 77, that particular issue. So I was very happy to pick that one up. I shopped for a friend as well who gave me a want list. And let me just move these things out there, so we're getting rather a lot of stuff. There we are. Yes, and I bought the iconic Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band for him. He wanted a Japanese press. I think this one's about 1976. I looked up this one. Obviously also missing the obi, so the obi's not there on the left-hand strip. I'll show you one or two of those later, but this one's not got it, but it's got most other things. Interestingly, of course, you can see this is not on the old Parlophone label, but it's on the Apple label, who sort of came into play a bit later with, I believe, the White Album. But this one was issued in Japan on the Apple label. I think it's pressed by EMI Japan, this one, as I say, around 76. Certainly not a first press, but probably a fifth or sixth pressing or something like that in Japan. And you get the usual, the inners, they do all this stuff, reproduce it. You get that unusual black inner, which again I think they did with the Apple releases, and you get some liner notes here. There we are. There we are. So you've got that there. So those were, as I say, from Noburu in Ciruello Records in Nara. Now, interestingly, I'll drop in some images here. You can see that downstairs from him, in fact, in the same block, was another record shop on the ground floor, which I didn't even know about. He had to sort of, flag it up. It's often difficult in Japan to find record stores because they tend to be sort of, unless they're the big chains. Later on we'll do things like HMV, where it's, they've got the neon or whatever, the big sign outside. Disc Union, another big second-hand record chain in Japan, do that. A lot of them are very discreet. You have to really do the footwork, and it's thirsty work in this heat to find them. So that was often quite challenging. But anyway, luckily Noburu pointed me towards the next one I'll show, which is called Pleased to Meet Me Records, and his name was Takashi. Again, I'll drop in a quick snap of me and him together here, and he sold to me the album by Max Roach called We Insist, which was originally on Candid. You can see there. I think it came out around 1960. Sort of protest record. It's got a lot of wailing. I consider it, by Abby Lincoln. I don't know whether you could really call that singing, but it's okay. Maybe not my real favourite sort of jazz. But this one's reissued there, you can see, on the Globe record label. So this is an early reissue, about 1970 I believe this one came out. But it's got a textured sleeve and all that. Maybe the original American had that as well. And they give you the inner there. Again, unfortunately missing the Ravages of Time, etc. The Obi strip not present on this particular copy. But so he sold me that. Now, that was about the extent of my vinyl purchasing in Nara. As I say, there was a lot of sightseeing, etc., and travelling to do in between. We moved on to, let me get this right, we travelled from Nara via Kyoto, and we did a day trip to Osaka as well, and then up to Tokyo in Japan. So it's very long, on the bullet train, covered hundreds of miles. I calculated it was about 700 or 800 miles in the end that we covered. So a lot of travelling to do in those 3 weeks. So forgive me if I get a bit lost here, along the way on this itinerary. But we did visit, we did visit in, let me get this right, Super Milk Records. I'll put in a link below. We visited Kyoto, and in Super Milk Records, I found a couple of discs. I'll just drop in here a short video which I took, and some photos of me out in Super Milk. Okay. Okay, right, welcome back. In Super Milk Records, I bought a couple of discs. I bought in fact, a mysterious record which is called Charlie Chan. Now, stupidly, I didn't put two and two together and realised that Charlie Chan is in fact none other than Charlie Parker. This one is, I think, a 1976 reissue. It does have the Obi strip, so there we are. There's an Obi that the Japanese adore. And so this is Charlie Parker live with Dizzy Gillespie, Bud Powell, Max Roach and Charlie Mingus. So it's kind of an all-star cast. I haven't been able to play this one yet, but this one's on the debut label. And it also features, let me just get my, sorry, get that out. Got stuff flapping all over the place here. This features, you get notes and a Japanese promo there, insert with that particular album. So I got that one, as I say, in Super Milk Records, who are based in Kyoto. I'll put a link down below for them. And also in Super Milk, I was able to pick up, I'm yet to show any of her records on my channel, but I've already owned a couple. I'm very keen on a Japanese jazz pianist called Toshiko Akiyoshi, who's actually still with us. She's now in her 90s. She's a very old lady. I don't know if she tours anymore. I haven't seen her, you know, in concert. I wish I could, but anyway. But yeah, she's been recording for the best part of 70 years, actually. And from Super Milk, I did buy, let me just see what I've got here. Yes, it's one of her 70s albums, 1978, there we are. It's called Finesse. But this is, in fact, confusingly, was originally on the Concord American Jazz label in 78. This is a 1984, I believe, repress on, it says Jazz Rack. I guess they were the pressing plant who did it. I'm not very sure. But anyway, this is I'll show you the label. Here we have, that's side one there of that particular album. This is just a trio. Haven't had a chance to play it yet. It's got the inners. Let me show you those. There we are. So you've got that. It's just a one-sided inner, all written in Japanese there. But yes, Toshiko Akiyoshi really is, you know, one of my favourites. Okay, so that's what I bought there. Sorry, let me put that there where you can see it. So that was from Super Milk Records, who are based in Kyoto. Now, I said I did a day trip as well to Osaka, which is Japan's second city. And it's terrific. I mean, absolutely terrific. We saw lots of sights. I've got you know, images of me. I might drop one in here outside the castle in Osaka, which is absolutely vast. I mean, you could spend a whole day in it, but we had very little time, so we had to rush there. But that was hugely enjoyable. Now, in Osaka, I managed to get to a couple of record shops, not many. Now, the first one I went to, I believe, was called Rubik Records in Osaka. And I have a short video of Rubik Records. I'll drop in again a link below to them. Let's just pause for a moment and have a look at that short video on Rubik Records. Okay, so welcome back. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Rubik Records. From them, I also bought some Toshiko Akiyoshi records. Surprise, surprise. Now, what I got from them was one of her early albums, not her first, but this is an early. I think this might be her second or third studio LP. And it's just simply called George Vine Presents Toshiko on Storyville. But this one is actually pressed again. Let me get this right. This is, okay, this would have come out, I think, in the mid-50s, about 1955, 56. And this one is pressed, sorry, my old eyes, in 1989 by Tokuma Corporation. Yeah, so she's got a great trio here. You can see she's got Ed Thigpen. I believe he was the drummer with Oscar Peterson, and Paul Chambers, very well known jazz double bass player. So yeah, I was very happy to get this. As I say, I didn't pay a lot for any of this. So that's the label there, Storyville. Originally on Storyville, this one in the US. And I believe there's an inner as well. Yes, there we are. Again, on one side with the notes entirely in Japanese. But she does a lot of she does a lot of standards at that stage of her career. Later on, I think in the 70s, in the mid-70s, she had her own big band even, but she was married for a while to the great alto man Charlie Mariano, so he appears on some of her albums, but not on this one. So there we are, that's Toshiko there. And the final one to show you today was also bought at Rubik Records in Osaka, and that was called East and West. And this one does have, you can see there, the Obi strip on the left. This is a reissue. I believe this album came out originally in about 1973 or 4, and it does have her, this is a 1980 reissue, I'm reading in the small print there, and this is being pressed by RVC, which is an RCA imprint label. You can see the familiar orange label there of RCA. Let me get that one out of the sleeve just to show you there. It's a sort of copy of the 70s RCA label. Does this one have anything in it? It has nothing, so I assume the inner has been misplaced, lost, or whatever. Maybe it was never issued with one, but it still has the Obi. And this one is recorded with Charlie Mariano, you can see. And I think it starts out with some, East and West. So side one is kind of Japanese compositions. There's one by Mariano called Stone Garden of Ryoan Temple. And the B side is West, as in West Side Story. So she does things like Maria America, etc. With this, I think it's a quartet on here. So anyway, there we are. That is the end of my first post covering my trip to Nara and my fleeting visit to Kyoto and Osaka. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be posting more of my trip to Japan. I've got many more discs to show over the coming months. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Bye.